Hello again and welcome to another Warhammer 40k Imperial Guard Tactics video, and today we're going to be taking a look at the new Rough Riders and their leaked profile and answer the question, are these guys overpowered? So just in case you missed it, GW revealed the new Rough Rider models, which is really cool, but I was able to get my hands on a leaked datasheet from an old playtester version of the Guard Codex. Now, of course, disclaimer here, guys, the information I had was about a year out of date. This very well may have been caught during playtesting, and the final profile that we get when the Codex lands could be very different to this. But if it's not, then I personally think that these Rough Riders could be really powerful, and in fact, could be one of the best combat units in the game. So the datasheet for the Rough Riders has them at movement 12, weapon skill 3+, ballistic skill 4+, strength 4, toughness 4, wounds 2, attacks 2, leadership 7, and 4+ armor save. They also come with two really cool datasheet abilities, one of which allows them to ignore all the movement, advance, and charge penalties, and the other one which gives them +2 strength on the charge, and that is in addition to any strength bonuses they get from the lance as well. Speaking of the hunting lance, it has two different ways you can fight with it. Now, you don't need to pick this before the game. It's not like I'm going to have half my squad with frag lances and half my squad with melter lances. Nope. They come with hunting lances, and when you get into combat, you get to pick which type of hunting lance you want to use. And there are two different kinds of lance to pick from. You've got the frag lance and you've got the melter lance. Now, the frag lance is strength user, which is strength 4 base, but on the charge that would be strength 6. It's AP 1, it's damage 1, but every time you make a hit with this weapon, it gets 2 additional hits. The melter lance is +2 strength, AP -4, flat damage 3, but you don't get any extra attacks with it, so it's just one big punch. Now, already that looks like a really tasty profile. Being able to get up to 6 attacks per rider with the frag lance is nice, and being able to hit at strength 8, AP -4, flat 3 damage with the melter lances on the charge is really nice as well. So already that's a really strong profile. The one weakness of it is it's relatively fragile. They've got 2 wounds at 4+ save and toughness 4. Not too difficult to kill off the board at all. However, we can start really stacking abilities onto the Rough Riders. So for example, if you take the Lord Solar, the new big Supreme Commander model for the Guard, then you can give one unit full rerolls to hit. If it's a core unit, it also gets full rerolls to wound. Now, it has been revealed that Rough Riders will be core, and they're also going to have the platoon order and the regimental doctrine order as well. That means that you can give full rerolls to hit and to wound to a unit of Rough Riders. And they could be ordered as well, which means that you could give them the order fixed bayonets. Now, the new fixed bayonets is really good. It gives you +1 to hit and +1 AP in combat. That means you'd have a unit of Rough Riders which would be hitting on 2s with full rerolls to hit. And that means even the hunting lances, the frag lances, start getting really potent, because that means the frag lances go up to AP -2. They also combo really well with some of the better regiment traits in the Guard book. For example, you've got Swift as the Wind. That would give them +2 movement and +1 to their charge. That means they're on movement 14. That's amazing. Combine it all together, and I think you've got a unit that on the charge can delete everything from light infantry up to Imperial Knights in one go. So for example, let's say you're charging some light infantry, things like your Orc Boys, enemy guardsmen, cultists, guardians, termagants, anything like that. Okay, and if it's toughness 3 to toughness 5, and it's got a 5+ or 6+ save. Okay, you charge in with your hunting lances, with your frag tips ready and primed. You're going to get about 60 hits because you're hitting on 2s with rerolling 1s. Ask any Custodes player. Sometimes they feel like there's no point in even rolling the dice because they always just hit with everything, basically. So you're easily going to get about 60 hits. Because remember, you're going to get 20 hits, but every hit you get becomes 2 more hits. So that's 3 hits per frag tip. Then you're going to be wounding on either 2s or 3s, but you've got full rerolls to wound. Even if you're wounding against Orc Boys, toughness 5, you're going to be wounding them on 3s with 4 rerolls. You're looking at easily 50 wounds. Easily. Then they don't get a save because it's AP -2. You're just going to wipe out a unit of Orc or 30 Orc boys, it's no problem. Any kind of light infantry, these guys are just going to roll over them. But what about tougher infantry? What about the classic Space Marine Intercessor equivalent? You know, it's got 2 wounds, it's got a 3+ save, it's got some armor contempt in there, it's toughness 4. Well, you're still going to get your 60 hits with the Frag Lance, and you're still going to get about 50 wounds, if not more wounds. And then the armor contempt's going to kick in, but it's still going to be AP -1. That means that's 50 wounds at a 4+ save. That's going to be 20 to 25 wounds through. That's a full unit of intercessors or its equivalent. That's your standard medium to heavy infantry unit just deleted. Plague Marines, same thing. Anything like that, it's just going to be gone. And that's if you use the Frag Lance. You could still use the Melter Lance if you wanted to. Speaking of the Melter Lance, it's designed to bust open vehicles. Well, let's take a look at one of the biggest and baddest vehicles out there, which is the Imperial Knight. These guys are a super heavy unit. They've got 24, 26+ wounds. Their toughness 8. And they've got a 3+ save. They've got a 5+ invulnerable save, but you can't use it in close combat. To be fair, a lot of vehicles have invulnerable saves that you can't use in close combat, or they don't have any invulnerable save whatsoever. But let's take a look at a toughness 8, 3+ save vehicle. Okay? You're going to be going in there with 20 attacks. And you're going to hit with pretty much all of them, because you're on 2s, you're rolling 1s. That means that you're then going to be wounding it on 4s, strength 8 versus toughness 8. Okay, it's only going to be 10 wounds, but you get 4 rerolls to wound, which means you should get 15 wounds. Now, if that's against an Imperial Knight, you're AP -5. They don't even have armor contempt. You're just going to go straight through. Each one of those lances doing 3 damage. That's 15 damage, 3 wounds. That's just a knight dead in one go. That's from a 10-man unit. You could take a 5-man unit, and if you chipped a few wounds off the knight and then charged them in, they would be able to kill it. Okay? These things could just blow up anything on the charge. Now, there are, of course, some weaknesses that this unit has. I mean, as we've said, they're pretty fragile. I mean, they're only as tough as a Marine with a 4+ save. That's it. Okay? They'll be able to go in there and delete anything on the charge, but they're unlikely to be able to take the hit back. They're kind of like Repentia. I have seen a unit of Repentia kill a Stomper without even rolling all of their attacks in one round of combat, okay? So they're kind of like Repentia. Another thing to remember is they're kind of pricey. They are 20 points a model. That means that for a unit of 10 of them, you are going to be looking at a 200-point unit. However, they're also not infantry, which means they can't breach through walls like things like Repentia and other assault infantry. And on the terrain-heavy boards of competitive 9th and 40k, I think that is going to be a surprisingly big drawback for these guys. They're going to have longer distances to go, and they're going to have to expose themselves on the way. Another big thing is that they do not have the fly keyword, which means that effective screening will keep them out. And that's really big. So overall, I personally think that Rough Riders are not overpowered, but I do think that they are an incredibly strong unit. They are at least A tier and could even be S tier. I think most guard players are going to want to include a unit or 2 of these in their army. I definitely want to be including at least one 10-man unit, maybe even more. And the way I am imagining me running them is more than likely I'm going to be using them as a turn 2, turn 3 counter attack units. If my opponent pushes into the middle of the board, starts getting ready for the mid-board brawl, I can be like, brilliant, I can now bring my Rough Riders, which have been hiding out of line of sight, round the side, into my opponent unit, get the charge off, and push him off the objectives. I think what these guys do is they finally provide guard with a way of being able to assault enemy objectives and midfield objectives effectively. I think no longer you're going to have to try and just shoot people off them. I think you've actually got a unit which has some viable damage. But these guys are fragile, so you're going to have to follow it up. I think sending them off unsupported is going to end up with a charge of the light brigade situation very quickly. But having a unit of Rough Riders leading a push, backed up by a couple of squads of mechanized infantry and a Lehman Russ, that's going to take an objective, and that's probably going to hold an objective as well. But those are my thoughts on the Rough Riders. But what about you guys? Do you think they're broken and overpowered? Do you think they're strong? What tier would you put them in? I'm putting them in a solid A tier unit because they are good, but they do have those key weaknesses that we did talk about. Let me know down in the comment section below what you think about Rough Riders, how many you're going to pick up, and just how excited you are for them in general. If you've enjoyed today's video, please like it. And if you want to see more of these analysis type videos and tactical videos, then please subscribe to never miss an episode. If you really enjoyed today's video and you want to see more content like this, then please consider becoming a channel member or Patreon supporter. It is thanks to the generous support of my channel members, of my patrons, that I'm able to do this gig full time now and spend more time and effort on these videos. Also, one of the big perks of becoming a channel member or Patreon supporter is that you gain access to the Mordy and Glory Discord, and that is a really great community. We've got over 500 active people in there. There's always someone to chat with. There's always something to talk about. We talk about tactics, painting, memes, just everything and anything, and it's not just guard related. We've got loads of other players in there as well. So if you want to join a really fun community that's welcoming to all, and it's just a safe place just to hang out and have a good time and vibe about 40k, then please consider becoming a channel member or Patreon supporter and joining the MG Discord. And I just want to take a moment to do a shout out to all the latest channel members. So a big thank you to Pierre Maxens, Squaticus, Dark Lord Corey, Interrogator Chaplain, Joshua Lanigan, Crisis, Tiki Wiki, Panzer Brandy, Nate Sal, Zanst, Ally McGregor, Deadlock Glitch, Josh Kozecki, Ben Dwyer, Tyler Goodyear, Chris Watson, Gaming Guy 64, Blitzkrieg, David Hunt, Runtime, Tommy Knox, Charles K, Rat, Sam, Valhalla Wargaming, Pope Boniface, Harry Dickinson, Violetta, Imperial Guardsman, Costas Pap, Benji Hman, Byron, Nephrums, T. Kazari, Paul Venables, Michael Anger, Glyn Tolley, Billy Bubat, Draylen, Duncan August, Nick P, Greyman, Larry Stewart, Jasper Vox, Jimmy B, Baumrein 63, Dramatic Dodo, Clather, Daniel Burke, DL318, The Lion's Den, Colin King, Nemesis Dude, Colby Chavez, Holdor Gret, Zach Knoll, Copperhead, Starsky Studio, Omar Rees, Rick James 90, Chaos Nub 44, David McKeem, Joseph Gabalon, Ewan Cameron, Farmer Spaceboy, Richard Jeffs, Dennis Laser, Cobra, and Angron's Emperor's Issues. Thank you guys for becoming channel members. Thank you guys for doing your part. I also want to say a thank you to the latest Patreon supporters as well. So a big thank you to James Hughes, Stephen Paish, Matty B, Sean Mulligan, Bonbon Vert, Chris, Nod Goblin Nico, Zorox, Dustin Patterson, Stephen Lamb, James May, Thomas, and Texas Red. Thank you guys for your ongoing Patreon support. And last but certainly not least, I want to say a personal thank you to all of my top tier Patreon supporters. These are the War Masters, the people that have truly gone above and beyond the call of duty when it comes to supporting the MG channel. So a massive thank you to Bonbon Vert, Navy Veteran, Philip French, Ross Miller, Tequal, Alex Dengal, John Stubbs, Nicholas Walsh, Swordfish Trombone, Diesel Fox, Tom Sutton, and of course, August Barney. Thank you guys for your support. It truly is life-changing. I really appreciate it. I hope you've all enjoyed today's video. Thank you for watching. And of course, as always, I'll see you guys next time.